A reading from the prophet Isaiah. Listen to me, you that pursue righteousness, you that seek the Lord. Look to the rock from which you were hewn, and to the quarry from which you were dug. Look to Abraham your father, and to Sarah who bore you. For he was but one when I called him, but I blessed him and made him many. For the Lord will comfort Zion. He will comfort all her waste places, and will make her wilderness like Eden, her desert like the garden of the Lord. Joy and gladness will be found in her, thanksgiving and the voice of song. Listen to me, my people, and give heed to me, my nation. For a teaching will go out from me, and my justice for a light to the peoples. I will bring near my deliverance swiftly. My salvation has gone out, and my arms will rule the peoples. The coastlands wait for me, and for my arm they hope. Lift up your eyes to the heavens, and look at the earth beneath. For the heavens will vanish like smoke, the earth will wear out like a garment, and those who live on it will die like gnats. But my salvation will be forever, and my deliverance will never be ended. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
A reading from the Gospel of Matthew. When Jesus came into the district of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do people say that the Son of Man is?" And they said, "Some say, John the Baptist, but others, Elijah, and still others, Jeremiah, or one of the prophets." He said to them, "But who do you say that I am?" Simon Peter answered, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." And Jesus answered him, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father in heaven. And I tell you, you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not prevail against it. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven." Then he sternly ordered the disciples not to tell anyone that he was the Messiah. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Beloved, Isaiah begins with a simple invitation. Look to the rock from which you were hewn. Look back. Remember where you come from. Remember the God who shaped you, sustained you, and called you into being. Isaiah speaks to a people who feel unsteady, people who need grounding, people who need reassurance that God has not forgotten them. And then Isaiah says, "You are not rootless. You are not adrift. You were carved from something solid. You were formed from God's own faithfulness." That word meets us today in our own moments of uncertainty, our own questions about identity and purpose and direction. Isaiah reminds us that our story begins with God, and that God's righteousness, God's mercy, God's salvation are not fragile things. They endure. And then Matthew gives us a moment where Jesus turns to his disciples and asks a question that reaches all the way into the heart. Who do you say that I am? It's not a test, it's an invitation to clarity, an invitation to remember the rock from which they were hewn. And Peter answers, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." And Jesus says, "On this rock, I will build my church." Isaiah says, "Look to the rock from which you are hewn." Matthew shows us that rock, the confession of who Jesus truly is, the trust that anchors our lives, the faith that steadies us when everything else feels completely uncertain. And so these two readings meet in a single truth. We are grounded in God's faithfulness, and we are shaped by our confession of Christ. And that grounding matters, especially in seasons where life feels busy, stretched, or unsettled. When we're tired, when we're pulled in many directions, when we forget to care for ourselves, when we lose track of what centers us. Isaiah calls us back to our source. Matthew calls us back to our confession. Together, they remind us that rest is not just physical, it is spiritual. It is remembering who God is. It is remembering who we are. It is letting our lives settle again on the rock that does not move. So today, in this moment of quiet reflection, hear the invitation. Return to the rock. Return to the Christ. Let your soul rest in the one who formed you, the one who calls you, and the one who builds your life on a foundation that cannot be shaken.